You guys want to see my pipe? Last video we got the turbo in and mounted. Finished welding up the Fowler log manifold. Added a little pie cut here so I can get the angle that I need. Now what I'm going to do today is I'm going to work on the crossover. I did order 2 wastegates. So I'm going to do 2 45mm wastegates in this guy. This is the first time I've ever used one of these little J-bends. I'm going to try it out. These are like 30 bucks. You can find them on Summit or eBay or wherever. And they have a nice straight section, a few bends. So you could get a U or 2 90s, a 45, and it seems like it should work pretty good for the crossover. So the manifold already has a 2 1/4 V-band on this side. And then I'm using a Fowler Speed and Performance adapter here. It's like the stock truck manifold triangle 3-bolt flange to a 2 1/4 V-band. So that should be pretty slick. So we might take that U and then turn it to the 180 and then turn it into a 90 and then a 90, and then we could probably angle it back or use a 45 to get up to this section here. And that Fowler adapter comes with a quick release V-band. I've actually never used this kind of V-band before, but this kit came with it. And then I also bought a 5-inch V-band from Monkey Fab, and this one is a quick release V-band also. So I think these things are so cool. It's the first time I've ever used them. I'm really impressed with how easy these things are to use. Instead of having to take the nut completely off or loosen it up all the way to get it out, you just loosen it up a little bit and then it just has this little swivel piece on there. That's going to be a lot easier to work with for everything, for assembly, disassembly, especially if you're working on stuff a lot. And then here's the little guy. So like, if you look at this thing, it's just barely loose, and then you can just take that piece off. So these should be pretty cool. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 2 1/4 and I will attach it down onto the other fitting, and then I'll start to cut some pieces and mock this up and mark where I need, and I can tack it up on the table. Alright, so I was kind of having some issues with my camera, so I just took some pictures while I was working. I did finish up the crossover. I was able to get pretty much everything I needed out of that J-bend. I used almost the entire piece. I'll insert a picture here. These 2 little round pieces are all that I had left from that entire J-bend, so it ended up working out perfectly. I didn't use a flex joint on this. I'm going to try it like that, just see how it goes. The V-bands didn't really warp. I fully welded the whole thing except for like the last 2 joints, and then I welded them kind of slow just to make sure that they wouldn't warp a whole lot. So that's all bolted in. Ended up working out pretty good. I tried to get it as tight to the transmission as I could, so you can see this little ear here. It looks like it's touching, but it's not touching. So really close to the starter, really close to the transmission. I wanted to get it out of the way so I could get the 5-inch pipe through there. One concern I do have is the heat being so close to the starter that might cause some issues, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. And then next I started working on the downpipe, so I'll go into that. All right, so I was having some issues with my other camera, so I didn't really record a whole lot, but I did get pictures. I do have the 5-inch downpipe on there, and I use the V-band. It's just tacked in place. I ended up using pieces from the Duramax exhaust that I got and cutting that thing up. I do have a straight 5-inch section still on the way, but I wanted to get started on doing this, and I really wanted to use bends in the engine bay instead of pie cuts. Mostly cosmetic, but just wanted to do that. So I have a piece coming down, and then I have it joined together right there to kind of go around the AC dryer. My plan here is to maybe put a V-band on this. I did measure it up with the 5-inch V-band, and the 5-inch V-band does go on here pretty decent, and it fits. And then I'd be able to snake the rest of the pipe down there. At this point, I'm debating how I want to do it, which I need some more time to figure it out and mock it up. If I want to put the V-band here, if I want to put it down there, and then be able to snake the pipe all the way in. So I want to keep it full 5-inch all the way back. I mean, 1 for airflow, and 2, I think it would be really cool just to say it has a full 5-inch all the way back. I've been looking at it for a little bit. I don't really think it'll be too difficult, but here's a 4-inch section, and then it has this flange on it that is 4 3/4 by 5.5 is this flange. And if I take this flange and go up this way, it comes right through there. So 4.5-inch measurement by 5.5, 4 3/4 by 5.5. It comes up there pretty good. And the 4-inch side just kind of like falls through here. So it goes in real easy, and that's pretty close to the measurement there. But the only issue is that it's round, so it's going to hit some stuff in certain areas. So what I want to do is I want to use the press, and I want to flatten the pipe. So I might use like some wooden blocks inside there to get dimensions, but I want to flatten this thing a little bit this way and then maybe flatten it back this way, kind of turn this into a square or an oval and see what I need to do to get that thing through there. Other than that, it's kind of hard to see, but the pipe isn't touching anything. It's close to stuff, but it's not actually directly touching anything. So there is some room. I did take this by hand and bend it. I kind of lifted up on it and bent it out of the way a little bit, but it clears. I have good clearance on the backside. So I feel like it's going to be doable. I'll probably do a separate video on that. Sorry, this one's kind of short, but just kind of wanted to show what I'm working on, and that'll be the next video, getting that downpipe and stuff figured out.